also. Um, so in this talk, yeah,
Hey, hi, folks. This is Nithya here. So, have been with Thoughtworks for 12 years now. And yeah, can go.
yeah, sure. So Ramki, when Ramki Rich was saying, "Hey, GeekNight 100 edition is going to happen," what can you talk about? Um, so I was actually playing out with all the generated tools and everything for almost for 1.5 years when the ChatGPT reached out and everything, right? And I was wondering how it can be used productively for day-to-day life and everything. So I thought of, okay, why not talk about that itself to the audience? That's the whole intention behind the session. Um, yeah. So before we go on to it, right? I just want to quickly talk about some of the common things, common ground setup, so that we all can understand much further. Um, so there is a thing called an inflection point. How many of you know about what's an inflection point is? Okay, maybe I'll show you some examples and can see whether you're able to get it right. So the moment that human invented the fire, right, that also one of the inflection point, right? So agriculture is also one of the inflection point. After that, everything has changed. Before that, right, we are hunter gatherer, and then the way how we lived, everything got drastically changed after agriculture. Then when the printing press came, right, that's also another inflection point. So similarly, when the steam power came, people able to move across, all those things started happening. That also another inflection point. And telegraph, that's also another. There are so many things like that. So telephone, iPhone, you can list down a lot of things. On that, right, this new chat GPT, large language model, is also another inflection point as of today. It is changing the entire demographic. Or to give an example, right? Even my mom used to ask me, saying she's 70 years old. She asked me, saying, "Hey, what is ChatGPT?" Then only I realized it has reached so much, and then even my mom knows about it. She is not tech savvy; she doesn't know anything, but she knows that particular thing, right? So it is going to change everything drastically going forward, right? Like how pre-COVID, post-COVID happened, right? This also will be one of the inflection point. Okay, so there is, right? I think with whoever I interact with, saying that, hey, this is happening. What's your take, right? There is a divide. Can you guess what is the divide? What people think about this? Yeah, opinions. What are the opinions? There are only two sides. Either people talk that way, or only rarely people talk in between. But otherwise, it's a divide only. Exactly, right? It's beyond that also. So there are one set of people who says, "Hey, AI can't do this, and I don't have any time to look into this. It's waste of thing, right? I don't have to worry about it, right?" This is one set of people, and there are extreme opposite of other set of people who says that, "Hey, it's very scary. It's going to take away everything, and I'm no longer needed," right? Uh, so I always seen these two divide. But what we want to do it right. Let's be in between, right? Let's not say it's going to take you away or it's useful, not useful, right? So given all these things, right? Or it's going to be an inflection point. It's going to change the world going forward and everything, right? We'll take that and then we'll see how we can actually leverage it as of today. Some of the benefits what we can get from it, right? Yeah, Nitya.
Yeah. So, before we get into the topics, we just want to ensure we are on same page on some of the terminologies, right? Yeah. Some of this, some you might be already aware, but we'll go with some examples just to ensure we are again on same page. First, artificial intelligence, right? It's more about, if I have to put it very simple, is giving a human like intelligence to system, right? Like something like how you talk to an Alexa or a Siri, like day to day. You don't even sometimes treat them as systems, right? In a way, sometimes we treat them as a friend, if you think about it, right? So moving on to a generative AI, right? Generative AI is again a division within artificial intelligence, so where instead of just processing the information, the system will also now be able to generate something new. So again, it how it works will probably go over as we move on, but you can think of it like this. It has like a database of things. There is some intelligent it owns with all the models and stuff, and it will respond back with a brand new content. So generation, and hence it is called generative AI. So again, LLM falls within Gen AI, and you again the term large, right? It deals with large systems. It deals with large amount of data, and yeah. So you can again think of um, how do I put it? Systems that deals with data and gives you information. Again, in a way where the human can understand. Example, text, video, right? In which we communicate. So similarly, how like those systems communicate. This is like, again, many of you might be using it already, might be aware of it. So GPT, generative pre-trained transformers. So again, like the term implies, right? They are pre-trained on data. And I think this again, I don't have to explain. We use it day to day, and it's a input output based model, text model. And actually, I don't know if you have recently noticed, we can also generate images, logos, and everything with the latest version of GPT plus. So moving on to again few more terminologies. Again, this is something you might have been aware or not, but we'll talk about it. So the first one is RAG, retrieval augmented generation. So a simple example, because that term, it was very confusing for me. So again, I asked ChatGPT, hey, explain me better, right? So one example it gave me was, hey, if you ask a GPT saying, hey, what is the capital of France? First, it has to find what is the capital, which is for France, it is Paris. Then it has to generate back saying, hey, the capital of Paris, like France is Paris. So there are two things, right? It's retrieving and generating. And that's like the simplest example I was able to get and understand for that. So the next term is hallucination. So again, like the term implies, right? The English term. Again, an example that was very relatable is who is the cup winner for 3020, the year 3020. So if you don't tell the like model that hey, you have a choice to say you don't know, it will make up the answer. Okay. Again, it is not doing on purpose. It really wants to help you, right? So you have to be very careful with that, because that is something you might have faced if you are a user of any of these models. It's very common, and we have to be very careful on how you talk to the system to ensure you avoid hallucination. The again other two, the fine tuning is again using one general model with pre-trained like very specific data, like say maybe insurance or a retail, and get very closer to like how do I put fine-tuned answers, right? Like again, the term fine tuning is it will give you better results if you tune it with specific set of data. And the last is zero shot training. Again, example that I was trying to understand is maybe the model might have never been tuned with that. Say maybe an example it was saying me was platypus, right? Like maybe it would have never seen such an animal. But if you tell it that hey, it's a mammal, it can still generate you an image or like tell you how exactly it will be with all the other information it has had. So it is zero shot. It might have never encountered such a terminology or uh, like anything related to it, but it can still generate you response with that model it has been trained. So again, enough gyans probably we'll get into. So any questions here before I move on? Okay, cool. So what we have done, right? So we have split the session into two. So one, we want to talk about uh, like how, as of today, this models how it can help us now, and how it can help us future. So we'll go with the current self. Okay. So if you think about it, right? Yeah. How are we like, or what? How is our day if you think about it, right? So when you start as a again like keeping things specific to developer, but it is not really a developer specific problem. But when you started your journey, right, if you had really thought about it, you code, that's it, right? You might not get into a communication with a PO, BA, like your life was simple, clean, plain. But as you move on, when you get more and more experience, the number of things that you do increase. So with the BA, you might have to help with an analysis. With the PO, you might have to get some comms done, send an email, and you go to stand up. As you get experience, people expect you to be more clean, clear, use less technical terms when there are people. Like there are all these things that add on, right? So as you move, the again, for every person, that interest might be different. But if you are a core developer, right, when you pull into things like this, it might be frustrating. Correct. So this is the so what we are going to do is like take a very simple application, okay, and I just want to walk you through like how a typical day of a developer can be made easy, okay, with the thing again, like all these whatever I told you, how I can make. So simplest application we took was a contact app, because it was easy for us to also explain. It just has some functionality, very very basic. We might not also again get into everything, but we will, as we go, we can talk about one or two, like how I can give an update related to it, or like how I can generate a code, something like that, right? Yeah, so we can. Thanks. Okay. So the first thing, if you again, if you are in a team, right, the first thing you encounter is a stand-up. So again, like I was saying, one of the common problems that we will have is the cross role. Okay, and as a developer, we might get into details as to, hey, I found this problem, I got stuck, and then someone will cut you saying, hey, timeout, please be aware, things like that. So one, I was thinking, right, is how we can leverage, to help us give better results. Um, yeah. So again, there are different ways in which you can talk to the system. This is one of the ways, right, where you can tell the system, hey, again, you need input. Okay, without input, the model will never be able to help you. So let us assume you are a developer who tracks what you are doing every day, right? And then you also obviously make some commits. So if you can give these two information to a system, how it will respond back. Again, there are two set of meetings you will get into in the morning. One is stand up, where there are crossroads, and the other is a huddle. No, 1 minute. So I'll show a quick demo.
Keep the laptop.
Yeah.
We won't call.
Mm, just keep this. You can still hear me, right? Like this. It's too difficult. Mm. Like this. No. Sorry. It's fine. Yeah. Cool. So I just want to show you, how again I'm using Playground, not using my own personalized chat GPT. So one thing I found with the Playground is that you don't have any predefined, how do I put, personalization. Okay, so you can configure the way you want. So one thing that I was trying when I was learning, right, you can tell it how it behaves. Maybe I'll just take 1 minute to show you that. So you can say respond. Okay, wait. Yeah. Is it better? Okay. Okay. And you can say, uh, mm, okay. And so if you really see, right, it will respect. So this system instruction is more like how you want your model to behave. Again, you can do the same in ChatGPT, but from what I understand, the ChatGPT has its own system instruction. So when you add more, it's on top of it. So it might not behave the way it is. So this was nice. It was actually funny when I was first trying. So it does give a proper response, but in that pirate format. And actually, it did give me, okay, it didn't give me now. So first time it gave me nice smileys with all that eye patch and things like that. Okay, so moving on. So yeah, so again, if I can say the format, and again, you can treat it the way you want. So here, right, it's like how we used to give the default variables, right? So I just gave a random default variable. And then I also said, hey, and this is a user message. So I said, what can be a daily notes, more about what I worked on, what happened, what are all the challenges I faced. Again, an example. So this was a filter by name feature. So some of the challenges, again, this is all made up. Okay, again, help thanks to ChatGPT. But let us again assume that this is a proper notes of a developer, right? So it will tell you, hey, made up that I got a problem with like matching contacts. I got a problem with performance. So those were some of the again challenges the person has faced, and it talks about what can be the next step. And again, the other feed was the commit message, what the person had done. So this was the feed we give. And if you see the response, right, it gives you a proper stand up note response that does not have much of a technical details. It will tell you what is the update, what is the challenges encountered. You can again format this message the way you want. Okay, you can tell, hey, give me that update maybe in a one liner because my PM wants it to be short and sweet. So you can tell it how it you want, and in that way it will give you the response. And similarly, right, tech cuddle notes, it you can say like what you want to discuss on. Again, you have to tell exactly what you want. You can ask it to role play, saying, hey, now assume you are a software developer. Tell me what are all some of the ideas you have, to manage performance, and it will give you more such information. So those are some of the things you do, but this was just an example, right? So in this way you don't have to think what to say, what not to say. You can be mind you can just refer this, and from that you will get more idea which you can use for your yeah. Want to add something? Okay, so moving on. Yeah, so the second thing, again, this is something every one of you might have tried, which is the Copilot, integration. Again, like Copilot, there are other tools, but for today's demo, we just took it because that's something that's commonly there. So again, one thing that, a common question that came when Copilot and such tools came was, hey, now will the developer be no longer needed because the AI is able to generate the code? Is it not working? Ah, okay. I think I didn't. Do you have the other version? Okay, it's fine. Sorry, there was another version. I think I copied the wrong video. Yeah, it's okay. Let it go, and then we'll fast forward. So yeah, what was I saying? Right. So that was one of the common, if you think about it, notion. Right. So one thing that as we started using, what I we realized is that it is our brain. Okay, it is our idea. So the AI will not like automatically generate it. You have to tell what is the functionality. You will have to tell how you want the code to be generated, what is the style, and everything, right? And if you see towards the end of the video, which I'll probably fast forward, is that the code that it we again in this entire video we have not coded even a single line. Okay, and it generated an entire application for contacts. But if you see, the tests and everything were also generated, but there were issues, right? So it clearly says that it cannot really work on its own. There is a human intervention needed, and it is more like a pair. Okay, you have to treat it like a pair, not like someone who can replace us. Yeah, want to add something, Krish?
So, so if you see right this entire video, I was able to create API, not persistent to the database, but everything right from it in 25 minutes. So if I can sit, I think in 8 hours, I can complete the entire all the requirement within a day itself with the proper unit test, integration test, and save it to the database. All the requirement, whatever she has put in, right, everything is possible.
Yeah. So if you see here, it will tell you. You can tell it like how you want it to be created. So I'll just fast forward because yes, wrong video. So if you see, these are the tests. You can say how you want the test to be generated, what library you want to
Yeah.
use.
See, it learns. I think the moment I wrote a test like this, the next thing, right, it automatically figured out my way of writing style, and the next test it generated is based on this previous test. So it was able to do it.
Yeah. So I think mostly it is the same. So few things actually that I found it interesting was first time no we had difficulty in making it understand how to generate. So we found tried start the server, it didn't generate. So there were few trial and errors. Okay, but after a point, once you get used to how the system understand, then need to become faster. Again, apologies, I don't have that shorter version because it was nicer in the shorter. Earlier, like that generation was very slow. And then as you move, it was like in a second, I mean, it was very easy. Anyway, it's fine. So, and then finally we run the test. Yes, there were issues, but it's okay. Cool. Any question? If not, we can move on. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
Agreed.
Hey, you can also think of this way, right? Previously, before Word doc or any editors, right? While writing, there will be some spelling mistakes which you'll be making, right? So those came in, and then we, wow. See, when I write, it's able to find all my spelling mistakes. Then they added the grammatical checks also, right? It was very useful, right? Same way now, the same piece of code without that editor, what I was using, like I was using IntelliJ, right? If you ask me to write without that thing, it is going to be very hard for me, right? Because now we are so used to that thing. It doesn't mean that I don't know how to write code, right? It's just that that's helping me to write code in a much faster rate. It's to the next level now, right? So now what I need to do is that I just need to say what I want. I need to express, and is able to do it. Now you can fine tune it, saying that no, no, this is not the style. This is the style. This is how we want it, right? It is going to help you. It is going to make your life little more faster. It's going to increase your productivity a lot more. You need to see it that way. Definitely, right, what all the terms, whatever Nithya said, right, hallucination, everything, right? Keep that in mind. It can make up. It will always make up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So the initial days with ChatGPT would be fun, okay? Like it will give you very weird results and you will not even know how to talk to it. Probably I will cover also how to talk to the system because that in this when we were preparing for the session also, no, we found that hey, you have to talk properly to get back the result properly. So yeah, we'll cover that future. Yeah, please. Mhm. Yeah.
E- e- Yes, definitely. But the
Yes.
difference will be, right. Will it be a production grade code? Will you able to run it on production? That will be the questionable
Yeah.
thing. But for your use case, whatever you have, right, you'll able to do it. I think the other thing, what this has made it, right, it has made it as a commoditized product now,
Right.
right? So previously, only some niche set of people can go and not get that particular thing. Now it has actually broken that barrier, right?
Yeah.
So what you all need to know is, right, hey, I have this awesome idea. That's it. With that idea, if you know how to ask the prompt and everything, right, you can actually showcase it. You can generate something doable, workable prototype. You can do everything now.
Again,
It's all
prototype
needs
is
is,
possible.
yes, and it,
Production grade might need some tweak. So again, there are some principles, right? If you think about it, how you write the code, how you organize, um, how you split the responsibility, and as the application becomes big, how maybe like how you roll out, like how you keep your like mostly it is there, right? Because without that, yes, I agree with you. Like anyone can code, but this is where a developer experience and all those things will come into play.
yeah. Maybe I'll give a simple example for you to understand, right? So if you use Google Maps, and then the moment you go to some road, and then the moment you start seeing a narrow road, right, you will get a warning sign saying this is not a proper road. If you go in this road, that's a human thing, right? That Google Maps cannot say it, right? It's the same thing for the developer. Developer knows that very well, right? Hey, you are doing in the wrong direction. That is the thing what developer brings in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe you can use it for our own advantage. So for example, right, how cricket player used to play in the nets, right? So now you can actually use this to actually learn faster, and then use that to see what's the way to write, what's the not way to not to write. Everything you can actually learn through that,
Yeah. You have to
right?
be careful because it is possible that you learn something wrong also.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful. So you have to use proper resources, right? Like there are open source projects where you see rather than just trusting on Copilot, because yes, it can mislead you. So it is
Mm.
possible that uh, the suggestions it gives might not be the standard that you would usually follow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll probably.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. More.
Yeah.
Yes. Agreed.
See, that is what I'm saying, right? I think what Nithya said is right. I think we should do that foundation thing, right? This you should as a tooling only, right? We should not forget that, and then you should only rely on this, right? So you should spend more time on crafting yourself, and then using this as a tool to make
Amplify it
amplify it.
basically.
That's it.
Don't trust it completely. That's the only thing. Yeah, maybe more questions we'll
We'll
take
take it
it
later.
after
Yeah.
the session. We'll move on. Okay. Uh, yeah. So the other thing that again when I was trying, we came across something called an eraser array. It's one of the tools again. So what I'll show you similarly what I was trying. Uh, did I close it? Okay. No. So if you see this, right, it was actually again a generated architecture. So I was trying to say, how I want my front end to be, back end to be. Just a minute. So what I again got help is I had this idea of contact application, got help from the models to tell me how to get a prompt for an architecture diagram. But again, so the one of the things is I was saying, hey, I want a Flutter, I want a Golang. So first of all, we'll have to again tell most of the things, and the rest you can always ask it to assume, right? So once you have a prompt ready, then you can always feed it to the system. One of the tools again is eraser AI. And the other thing, okay, which I really liked was by end of the day it was a code. So if you change it here, it will like if I change something, it would change it there also. So some of the that was another thing, like it was easy for me to add on. And you can always keep prompting, trying, reverting. So those were possible. So other thing again which I was trying is 1 minute. You can again there most of us would have had a scenario where, sorry, we have like we might have to draw a sequence diagram, some UML diagrams. Mostly I use plant UML, okay. But I was trying the same with this fellow, like eraser A. So this entire sequence diagram actually it was able to get me under a minute, under like less than a minute. So and all I told was like, hey, this is the user and this is the application, and that is all. Again, some of the examples, there are more examples. You can collaborate. There are more such tools, but this was something that this is something again we'll be asked every day, right? Like, hey, document whatever you are doing, share it with someone. So again, I found that this is something that would be useful for us. Maybe not on that, but you can still say how you want to draw, but it is not giving me results like a draw. I think one thing that I found is draw was more formal, shareable. This was more for ideation, but sorry, sorry, yeah, but but yeah, you can export, yes, but
Yeah.
colors and I think you can control few aspects of it, the display aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's not free. There are like few credits, and then you'll have to pay. By the way, yeah. Okay. Cool. We'll
Yeah.
move on. Yeah. You wanna add
No, no.
something?
But if you think of it, right, let's say if you're going to save your 5 hours, 6 hours, and if it's okay to pay 500, 600, right, it's okay.
Cool. Okay. So
Yeah,
moving
but
on.
be
Yeah.
careful. I think all these things, right, they take your data. So don't put
Yes.
your client sensitive information. Don't do any of that there, right? You can take that concept out and you can try to do it, but don't ever put your project related code directly or anything related to project directly into it, right, without any permission. Don't do that. Yeah.
You'll have to be very careful.
Unless you have an express permission, don't do that.
Okay. So yeah, so few other things again in the interest of time, moving on. So one another thing usually we encounter is there will be a story and either you groom it for you to work on it or for someone else to work on it. So in this case, the example I'm going to take is notebook Elam. Again, like how we spoke in the start of the like talk is that for this it is actually a localized model, if I can say, and the input is actually our source, so it will give you a good result only if it has good input to it. So again, for this demo I added few information about how you have to write a story, for example, how a REST API should look like, few things. And it takes like a minute to generate, so I just generated before this session. So one example was I was trying to ask, hey, there's a view context story, please add some technical notes, right? And if you see, it will tell you from where it got that requirement. There's a user story that I added, so it tells you, hey, from this is how I found, these are some things you can add, because I also told how an API should look like. It understands that it has to build an API and it will be in Go. So if you see here, so okay, I have to zoom probably. Yeah. Not getting into nitty gritties, but it will tell you. And if there is anything that source is not correct, or if you have to enhance, you can enhance. You can save it as a note. So one last thing I also wanted to show is you can actually generate even proper emails that you can give, like send and mail on. So one bad thing with this notebook LM is it will not show you how you, like the original prompt you used to generate. So I couldn't find it. So I was just trying to see how I will send an email to my PO asking for any performance data, for example, right? So again, it was telling me what terms to use, how it has got with this email, and things like that. Okay. And now that other tools that are there, again ChatGPT can help for everything, but there are some special tools, like for example there's a language tool which you can use to paraphrase this, for example. Okay, so it will tell you how you can change this sentence and things like that. All of them are models, yes, it uses similar concepts, but there are different tools that you can use to cater your need. Okay, so again, moving on. Yeah. Yes.
Sure. Yeah, she spoke about how you can use it for the current self, right? Currently, what you can do. So what I want to talk about is, right, for your future. In the sense, I think whatever we do as of today, right, it's going to be useful for us tomorrow, right? To give an example, can you go to the next one? Um, so this is how our brain also acquires a lot of knowledge, if you think of it, right? What are things we do, right? We read books, we listen to videos or lectures, and then right? And then we read articles, and then we take notes of meeting notes or whatever we do, right? We do that, and then we take decisions, and because of decisions, there will be something right or wrong, whatever happens, right? And we basically do everything on top of this only, right? As a human being, this is what we are doing, correct? So rather than, okay, how many of you has this particular thing, right? In a browser or Chrome or whatever browser you use, right? Having hundreds of tabs open, and then hoping that one of your friend would have shared you an article, and then you find it's very interesting, and you didn't have time, but you just kept as a tab, and or you'd have read it, and then you find it's very useful, and next time if someone asks, right, you wanted to refer that particular thing, right? Or so many books you'd have read, right? So many videos you would have watched, everything, right? But what happened to that knowledge? Let's say if someone, I'll give an example, right? I think in my last project, right, CTO came and yeah, one of the client CTO came and asked me saying that, hey, the next project, right, what do you want me to use? Do you want me to use GCP or you want me to use AWS? What is the comparison between everything, right? I was not able to tell it instantaneously, even though I worked on both the things for a long period of time, even though I had all the notes and everything with me, right? I took a day or two to go back, reflect, consolidate, and then come up with all the things. But still, in this particular process, right, I would have missed a lot of information, right? It was not instantaneous, right? We ourselves have a lot of knowledge. We are daily reading whatever meeting you're going to, right? So let's say you're going to a meeting, and then even if you're taking a small note of it, right, that will be very useful later, right? Let's say if someone asks you saying, hey, when was that decision made, what happened in that particular thing, right? It will be very, very useful. So there are tools, which I'm not going to talk about each and every tool, but I can just say the name and what you can do about it, right? So there are awesome tools. Rather than listening to the podcast, right, if you use that particular tool, this is what I generally do. So whenever I go for a walk or something, or go on a car drive or something, right, I put this tool. Whenever I find that particular thing, information, whatever they're talking, very interesting, I'll just press a button. It will take capture of that particular note, voice into text, right? And then that will get fed into my system. The next thing what I do, right? Whatever article I read, I will not read it from the actual website. I'll take it to my system. I'll read it from there, highlight whatever I like, whatever I want to consult it, I'll do that. And then similarly, YouTube videos also, all the videos, I'll take it to the other platform. What they do, right? All the captions, what you see in YouTube, right? So that will also be shown as the thing. Whenever you watch the video, instead of that caption coming next to it, right? It will be below, and then it will be highlighting that. You can select those highlights, and then you can actually highlight and everything that I do. So Kindle, Audible, whatever I listen, right? I do the same technique. So I highlight there. Audible also, I just tag it. I do everything. And then notes, I'm also trying to capture everything now. So whatever meeting notes, whatever discussion we're having, that also I'm trying to capture it now. And decisions also, if I make a decision, what happened because of that, that's also I'm trying to capture. So the reason why I'm capturing and then doing it right, uh, so on all these things, this is very important. Like how you're capturing it right, capturing it is very, very important. So if you can do that, then actually you're sitting on a gold mine. What you can do now is, right, all this chat GPT, large language models, right? One day it will become so powerful you can run it on your local machine itself, on your own knowledge. Then actually you can create your second brain. It will be you. It's you basically, because whatever you read, whatever you tag, whatever articles you read, whatever you did, right? It is sitting on top of that. And you can actually simply talk to it and then say, hey, I am looking for something like that. That response will be exactly like you. Yes, you can actually, technically you can. So yeah, so this will definitely is going to happen. I'll say whatever you read, right, use a proper thing. I'm not saying this tool, that tool. It's up to you, whatever tool you use, right? But capture it, tag it, review it. It's very important. If you do that, definitely it's going to be very, very helpful in the coming future. Yeah.
So one So one last thing we want to talk about before we close the session is, what you should be good at for you to use the system better. So yeah, again, so how you can think of it, this is a clip from Marvin and movie, right? So you can think of it like, someone talking to, like you again, Yeah, but you can think of it like, you know, that you can treat that person as someone, again, not telling you to do something, but you like modify that person to help you when in need, and like give you direction, give you information. But again, it's another person, okay? It's not, you don't have to trust, you don't have to do what they say, but you can treat them as someone, you know, whom you can look up to in a way. You want to add something? Yeah. Sorry. Proud.
Yeah, probably, right. You can treat it like it's like this, right? It's an invisible. Also, if you think of it, right, previously, there is when someone is good at it, right, they are actually good at Googling, right? So because literally no human can remember everything, right? Or if they're able to do something, they know how to search, they're able to understand it, and they're able to do the same thing, right? Same way, now what this is going to offer you, right? It's going to offer you a secret person which only you can see, only you can feel, and you can feed the knowledge whatever you want to do with, and then you can get the extract the work done, and you can behave as if you're the one who done it.
So, yeah, moving on. So how to now do this, right? Okay, yes, we know that we can talk to the system and everything, you can get the work done. But what you can, like how you interact, right? Because that's very important. So let us assume we are just creating a kingdom with dragon, okay? You can, if you feed it to a proper image generation model, it will help you. So but there are techniques in which how you have to do, right? The first thing is the direction is to be very clear, so you have to exactly tell the model what to do. So for example, you say you in the earlier one, right, it says kingdom surrounded, like what is it supposed to do, that nothing is there. But here, right, it clearly says that describe, so you want a text input, correct, for example. Or you can say, hey, I want you to draw an image which will describe. So that instruction has to be very clear when, so that you can expect the right response, right? The second thing is the format, right? More about how you want it to respond. So for example, here, right, we are saying, like, I want to you to consider the geography, the culture, things like that. Few other examples, if for our real life, if you see, in the example where I was showing the stand up and generation, right, I was telling exactly, hey, this is how I will give you. And in fact, no, I can enrich it saying, give me an example in this format. So you can say how you are giving the input, and you can also control how the system has to give you back the output. The next thing is you can provide some examples. Yeah, so here, for example, it says, hey, you can take maybe a dragon legend or hero. But if you consider again in a typical uh, in your day to day, right, you can say, hey, I want you to like help me with maybe um how do I put commit message, but I want you to follow this format, and I can give an example. Okay, probably if I can have time, I'll show you like how I generated some of the commits. So it'll help you like to say all the three together. Okay, you have to tell what the system has to do, you have to say how, both input and output, and you can give some examples which it will use for it to generate. You can with this, no, you will minimize the hallucinations if you think about it. And the next thing, right, you can check whether this quality would be very helpful again if you want, if you are very keen about something. For example, no, in an image generation, if you are keen about how do I say, not blurred image, or the um, correctness of the spelling, so you have to be, you can explicitly say, hey, these two are very important to me, and you can keep generating to see if your prompt is good, and if your output quality is also the reliable one that you really want. Okay, and the last one, right, is more about, you can tell in if you give a big chunk of prompt, right, it might not know in which order it will process. So you can tell how you want the system to process, like, hey, I want you to do this, then I want you to do this, things like that. So some of the these concepts, right, can help you to how do I put, so another example I can take is, if you want the system to count the number of balls, right, hey, take 2, then add 3, and then add 5. If you give this as a prompt to the system, it will give you a very wrong answer. Try it out. Instead, if you say, hey, take this, there are 2 balls now, and then you take 3 balls, now there are 5 balls. You give us example, right, in this format, and then when you give a similar like a question with something else, the system will be able to respond better. So these are like the 5 techniques that you use. So there are um, like proper articles, if you see in prompting related websites where you can try. But these are some of the 5 things that we felt are very bare minimum needed, for you to use the system. So yeah, so one thing, this entire, if you see this presentation, it was ideated by the human, yes, presented by us, human, researched by us. But the images were generated. Again, some of the things we took from Unsplash. Some, if you had seen, it would have said. But all the other images were actually generated. And examples, yes, it was our idea, but it was all enhanced by the. So yes, these are some of the references we used. And yeah, yes, this is actually some of the tools we used. So this is the platform, ChatGPT, language tool, um, Copilot, and this is the eraser. And these are some of the tools that we use outside all of this. So voice notes was what Krishna was saying about converting the voice to text. It's very useful. Midjourney is an image generation. Readwise is the app which you can use to collect whatever you read and process. So yeah,
Yeah, a lot of things.
lot of things are
No, I
paid.
think mostly everything's this is paid. This is paid. That's also paid.
Mostly it will be paid. In the free version, you might not get the same.
There are free alternatives for all these things. No, there is proper open source tools. The only thing is, right, you need to put some more effort to manage it, maintain it, and then new version comes, it will get outdated. You need to send up the sync and everything, right? But if you're, I think now recently I have a kid also, right? I'm not able to find time to do all these things. It's okay, I think, to spend some bucks and then get me something out of it. It's okay, is what I feel. I yeah. Everything is,
Yeah.
I think it's, yeah.
Some of them are, yes, I think we ran out of time. Yes, thank you. Yes,
Sure.
thank you.